All right, guys, so I retracted this, I should say, and I went around it 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5 times with some heavy-duty duct tape. And there was a little mishap with it. It ripped the wrong way, so I just put this as a precaution. These things sometimes will spring back. It's going to scare the heck out of you. It probably won't hurt you in any way as long as your teeth aren't in the way, but this should prevent that from going any further. And I'm going to put one more piece of tape, just as a precaution. Now, anyone who's thinking, oh, how are you doing that? You're going to get all residue on that. What I'm going to do is, very importantly, I'm going to clean this up real well later. Although lightly, nothing crazy, with a rag and WD-40. So I'm just going to clean around everything if there's any residue, which there really shouldn't be, but this is a little bit overkill, but you can't put a price on safety when you're doing something like this. It's not dangerous, but why not? All right, so now I'm going to get the lower unit off. And the lower unit is right here. And it's going to be a similar thing. Nice and easy, take your time. In fact, this is going to be a lot easier because it's a smaller thing to work with. And you have nothing restricting you. Nothing restricting you. Up here it's tricky because you have to maneuver around stuff when you tighten it up. That's why it takes so long. I saved this for last because it is technically easier. And that should be good. All right, 2 more. Carefully when you do this now, because you don't want to deploy this. So you want to lift it, just do it, just keep it this way. Keep it in this position, upright, the propeller facing the ceiling. Make sure you're in tight, as I always say, with this, because you gotta be real careful with this. Crack the last one. Hold the propeller, the bottom region of this, and that's it. All right, once they're cracked, you're in business. All right, so rather than bore you guys with this, I knocked over my phone here. I'm going to take my time, a little each way. Nice and even. I mean, I am getting a little carried away, but I like to do things meticulously because in the end, it always works out better. All right, so I'm going to get these off. All right, guys, I'm on the last screw here. Bolt, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, there's a little grease still on it from last year. Get in close. Which helped tremendously getting this thing off. So nice and easy. You want to just carefully, just real careful. Look at that, beautiful. See, I put a lot of grease in here last year, and some of it has been burnt out. When I say burnt out, used up, whatever, dissipated. So let's see what we have. Hold on. I'm going to use the older brush just to poke around in there before I put some new stuff in there. I actually stand corrected. It's still in there, but it is, you can see it's turned a different color. So, all right, so perfect. So what I'm going to do is, taking my sweet time, before we go any further, just make sure that this gasket is in, and they usually stay in, but they could come out. As you can see, I'm using my tape to elevate it, which is perfect. And the gasket is seated, I should say. Perfect. All right, so we're going to get a lot of this grease out. We're going to get all of it out from last year, out with the old, in with the new. Because again, there is some, I'm not going to say, there's no water. It held beautifully. You don't see any water in here. It's all clean, loaded with this grease. From the same grease I'm going to use now I used last year, and I'm going to put the same amount in. I literally packed this thing to the gills, man, and it worked like a charm. I had a really good season last year. It was my second season on this kayak and this little modest channel I have. In 2 seasons, I put close to 800 fluke over the side of that kayak. Over the side of the kayak, my wilderness Recon. Close to 50 keepers. Yeah, I would say 50 keepers out of that mess of, again, a lot of them were 18s instead of 18 and a half. So I threw back at least, I want to say at least a couple of hundred of those were 18s instead of 18 and a half. So I had a really good couple of seasons, and part of this maintenance is, well, this maintenance is exclusively designed to keep me on the water safely. So, okay, that's the inside. Got a close up for you guys, different angles. I'm just getting the old stuff out, which held up pretty well. There was some brown tinge to it, meaning that it's been utilized. It's testament to why you would want to do it seasonally, because this is a really uniquely colored blue grease. It's almost got a grayish tinge, but not really. Cobaltish looking, if you want to call it that. And there was some, not wear, again, it meaning that the grease was utilized, it served its purpose. And if there's any microscopic metals in here and stuff, I'm going to get them out. And I'm going to load this up with fresh Lucas marine grease. Again, I'm not getting any, this is not a paid endorsement. I'm just doing this because there might be people out there that have other pedal drives too. I mean, this is exclusively for the Recon, but it may actually work for other wilderness products or similar pedal drives from other companies. So again, take your time, make sure everything's lined up. Just take a picture prior of how you have it lined up. You want it the same way you took it apart. You want it going back the same way. So it's really not that big a deal, guys. It's intimidating when you think about it. I'll be honest with you, I'm very handy, and I was intimidated a little bit, especially the lower unit. Like, oh my God, if I take that apart, water's gonna get, I'm gonna screw it. It doesn't work that way, guys. As long as you have it back in, you're not stripping these bolts, and you're careful how you do it. It's worse to not have this bottom unit up to snuff with the right amount of proper amount of grease. Good quality grease is paramount. All right, so I'm gonna start using this, I think. Let's see. I'm gonna cut this. Yeah, I don't wanna get grease on these scissors. Daughter will kill me. Let's cut it here. Let's just rip a little piece off here. All right, cool. Now, what I'm gonna do is shake this off a little bit. Make sure there's no debris on it, which is not. And just get in here real nice. Put the finishing touches on this. Go around this, clean whatever little layer of whatever's on there. Probably nothing really, but just go over it nice. Get in there careful. Pull all the old grease out. And all right, guys, I'm gonna go one more round with this, cut another piece off, and I'll get back to you. All right, guys, so I got this loaded up. Good quality marine grease. The bottom unit, I left a little, nice little spot for the gears to go in, which are right here. Okay, so I'm going to clean them up too and re-grease them. But as you can see, this is perfectly coated. These things are perfectly loaded with grease. These gears inside here. I'm going to put a little bit more in the old pack of grease here. There's just a little gap there. Let's use this. It's like you're baking a cake. Just push it down in there. And this looks pretty darn good. Clean this up again, thusly. All right, loaded with grease, good quality. And let's clean this up a bit carefully. So I'm going to get all the old grease around the edge here. Pardon the phone ringing. What else is new? All right, so clean around this, nice. All right, go around this again. All that old used grease out. Nice. It's working out pretty good. So far so good, knock on wood. Do not want to jinx anything. Again, you're going around this again. And I ran out of rag here, let's see. Shake it off, make sure there's nothing on the rag. And just final cleaning here. All right, and you're gonna take your Allen wrench and you're just gonna tap lightly. Make sure this is seated in right. This is a very important step here because even more so than the top, because this is submerged, obviously, so. All right, so then you're gonna, after you do that, you go around with your thumbs. Nice and light, nice and easy. Make sure it's in there. Now we gotta get some more grease out of this. So let's do this. Very carefully. Put grease on here. Now again, there's some people, maybe even mechanics in the audience that are watching this video, I should say, that think this is overkill. But again, this type of grease, I notice is a little bit more, I'm not going to say liquidy, but it's a little bit, it's not like a lithium, obviously, which sticks and clings or whatever more readily. This is a combination of this good quality grease, the right ratio, where you have some movement of the parts without it being, it looks gunky, but it's a different type of grease. In other words, it's not like a typical lithium grease where you may only need a little bit and then you leave it on there, and then over time, that in the weather and the heat and the change of temperature, that thickens up a little bit too much, in my opinion. This, you have a nice amount, and although it seems excessive, it's been working for me. I haven't had any problems, so I'm going to stick with what I know. And I'm going to go around the edge here, almost like painting a picture. Literally get the whole thing coated. It looks pretty darn good. I'm going to put one more little scoop in. I got to get down deep with this. One more little scoop in. And I'm doing the side where the gear is, which is closer to the propeller, to put that final little bit in. Okay, again, I'm going to clean this a little bit. Clean it a lot around the edge. Now a little grease got in to the holes this time, which will alleviate my concerns for the bolts having to be greased. Maybe this one didn't get any. Now it has it. So this is nice and neatly done. All right, guys, I'm just going to clean around the housing here carefully, because this is messy stuff here. I'll get it all around that was hanging over the side. Do one more. Some of these steps appear unnecessary, and in the scheme of things might be, but for the most part, I don't think so. I think I'm doing it right, and I think what I did is going to help. Again, a double check of this, and we're going to reassemble this. All right, as you guys see, I have it nice and level, nice and careful. Just be careful, because these things can spring back. But again, I have it pretty much set up here nice. Okay, you don't want to do that. All right, so you want, obviously, the propeller to match up to where it goes into the thing here. All right, so one final cleaning of this. That's more than enough grease in there. Should I put a little more? I think that's a lot in there. It's got to be on the gears. That's the most important thing. So once that goes in, that's going to add more grease. That's perfect. You need a little air in there too. All right, so this is going to go back on. Real careful. If you guys might have to take a little grease out. Again, I got it to the threshold of where you can fit this thing back on, where you know it's going to have great coverage, and that's that. Visual check on the gasket, looks good. All right, so I think we're in business here. I'm just going to put the screws back in. I am going to put a little dot of grease on these things, because just to be safe. I'm talking just a little bit. And this grease itself is pretty forgiving as far as making a mess. So as you see, I haven't worn gloves the whole time. And each time I've gone to the sink and washed my hands with some Dawn, which is good on grease, and lo and behold, it's worked out pretty well. So all right, so let's do this. You want to line the propeller up as such, straight like that. And you want to get this started properly. So you're going to put a screw in here, obviously. And then you're going to stand up, squeeze. Again, I want that propeller straight. And you're going to use your left hand or whatever, your non-dominant hand, to hold this thing in place. Again, after you line it up, which is right there. It's not easy to do this. It's not easy, but once you get it down, once you get the one screw in here properly, seated properly, it should be all set. I want to do it with this without stripping it. Careful. This looks straight, nice, and I'm going to tighten this one up pretty good. Not super tight. I'm actually doing this by hand, so that's pretty good. Okay, let's get the cross one in if we can. At least get it started. I'm gonna make sure it's like that. Make sure I squeeze this nice and tight. Continue to tighten this one. All right, guys, I'll get back to you as soon as I get these things in. Again, keep it straight, up and down. All right, guys, so I got this back on. It's lined up perfectly. And I'm just gonna tighten it up as tight as I can get it without getting to the point where I'm gonna strip anything. Super tight, and always do it crossways. Do the ones across from each other first. Always. Okay. Alright, let me swing around a little bit. There's a mess there. Just pardon this mess because it is a messy thing here. Okay, it's super tight. It's tight. It's not going to tighten anymore. That's the torque setting. It's not going to get any tighter once you get it to that point without hitting it with a hammer. So don't fear this. It just stops. That's it. It's torqued. Go around this one more time. I'm going to take this off of this, off the pedal. I did get a little carried away with this. All right, let's take this off the pedal. No damage. Okay, take it off here. Leave that on there. Even put this here just for argument's sake. All right, so I'm going to test. This is the moment of truth. Try to get the angle right. It feels super smooth, super nice. Everything lines up. I'm right in the middle here. This is up and down. All right, so I'll show you this way. As I showed you earlier, lined up just right. Spin it nicely. Smooth, not grinding. And as you get out there, getting at different temperatures and the heat and stuff, this grease is going to break down a little bit. And it's going to be super smooth, which it is now anyway, but I'm just in one of my spare rooms playing around here. Alright, so this looks good. Alright, now while this is up, I'm gonna get some WD-40 on it. And that's that. Alright, it's done. Mission accomplished. Double check one more time. It's super tight. Super tight. Super tight. Super tight, and the water's getting in here at all. So, alright, that's it, guys. I'll just go through that last WD, and that's it. Alright, guys, if you liked the video, please consider subscribing, because I plan on doing some heavy duty fluke fishing this season, and hopefully I'll put some big ones up on the deck. Alright, guys, signing off. Have a good one. Take care.